So today is one of my favorite topics. Gonna get lucky. I I think is perhaps the most important fundamental of the doctrine. Very aware that there is one thing that is more that isn't one thing that is more or less important. Everything is equally important. But I think the topic of reincarnation is, in my personal opinion, the thing that justifies everything about ourselves, all of our existence, all that we go through, all that we do or miss to do, all that we learn from spirituality only is meaningful, only make any sense with the concept of reincarnation. Taking reincarnation out of the equation, and I personally believe that nothing would make much sense. Or there we go over here. And the topic today is exactly reincarnation, the multiple lives. And well, let's read and you'll discuss it. Who's going to do the reading?
I will.
Thank you, Philip.
166. How can a soul that has not reached perfection during corporal life achieve purification? By experiencing the trial of a new existence. How does the soul carry out this new existence? Is it through its transformation as a spirit? The soul undergoes a transformation when it purifies itself. For this transformation to happen, it needs to experience the trial of corporal life. B. Does the soul have multiple corporal lives? Yes, we all have many lives. Those who say any different want you to stay ignorant like them. C. This statement implies that the soul, after leaving one body, inhabits another. In other words, it reincarnates itself. Is this correct? Obviously.
Thanks. So the very first question: how can a soul that has not reached perfection during corporeal life achieve purification? The most average parent, mother or father, who has love for the child, who care for the child, would give their offsprings, their sons and daughters, new opportunities. Even us, average, ignorant humans, would give to our loved ones a second chance, a second opportunity. This life is extremely complex. Between the moral and the intellectual, we have so much stuff to learn, so much stuff to get right. And if we get something wrong, we have to fix what we get wrong. That it seems to me to be absolutely impossible to get it all done in one reincarnation. Even if, let's say, the average life was 150 years. If you live to be 150 years and with relative good health up to 150 years, it's nothing. It's extremely short period of time for us to accomplish so much. And the word here, you have to read the questions carefully. Achieve purification, to purify ourselves completely, to to go from simple and ignorant to become a pure spirit or a perfect spirit, as we usually say. One lifetime, it's absolutely not enough. So how can one of us reach corporeal purification in one life? Impossible. Would just be impossible. Not even the Christs, the completers, would be able to do it. It would expect that a child would learn everything that he needs to learn by middle school, so to say. No, he needs to go to college. He needs to go to high school. He needs so much to learn. You can't do it at once. So what is the alternative? Is to have multiple existence in the flesh. Is to be able to come back and continue the progress. Is to be able to come back and start something new. Is to be able to come back and repair the mistakes of the past. That's the only way that it would make sense. So how can a soul that has not reached perfection during corporeal life achieve purification? By experience a trial of a new existence. To imagine the alternative, the most common alternative that we see around is that one is nothingness, so there is nothing beyond the physical. And the second one is one strike you out. You have to get everything done in one corporeal existence. Seems not very charitable, doesn't seem very loving, very caring for a father who is supposed to be the absolute love and absolute justice. Even us, ignorant, imperfect humans, we are more generous than this father if that alternative was a possibility. Even in sports, we have 3 strikes at least. But with father, you have 1 strike and you're out. It seems extremely harsh, extremely incomparable from the attributes that we give to this father, to this God, to be all love and all justice. Now, how many lives? As many as needed. This B, and answer B, does the soul have multiple corporeal lives? Yes, we all have many lives. Those who say any different want you to stay ignorant like them. That is definitely a reference them, a reference to the to religious or Christian religious that deny the existence of multiple lives, that eliminates our Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, eliminated dogmatically the reincarnation from Christianity. It is a dogma that reincarnation does not exist, since it's a statement from a high authority that cannot be argued, that cannot be contested. So reincarnation was forever eliminated from the church, from Christianity. Now, another dogma can be restated later and put it back, but as of now, it is dogmatically the reincarnation does not exist. And this precept continues with the Protestant Christian sectors. They also do not believe in reincarnation. Some extremely more harsh that no, it's the true one strike you out. You got everything right here and go to heaven, or you got everything wrong here, or go get one or two things wrong here, and you're down to hell for life. Um, Again, it does not go with the attributes of God. Or you believe in a God that is all love and all justice, or you believe in a God represented by the father in the parable of the two sons, who receives the son who chose to run away and come back in a very bad shape with open arms and give a feast for that one that returns home, or you don't believe in on that father. To believe in that father and to believe that have just one opportunity is to deny the teachings of Christ itself. Because in the teachings of Christ, the parable of the two sons definitely tells us of a father who is willing to give us new opportunities, to receive us with open arms and give us new opportunities. Okay? Questions, comments?
Oh, Elmo, may I add something? I
Please.
find it almost ironic that often I have heard, even from my own family, they will say, oh, but you have to be born again. So it's interesting, isn't it, in a certain way? They may not say the word reincarnate or reincarnation, but born again. So I don't know. I just always find that interesting.
It is so much contradiction
A contradiction, right?
and so many paradoxical statements. At the same time, they will say, no, there is no reincarnation, but then it's right there in the teachings of Christ. Unless a man be born from the water, he will not enter the kingdom of God. What is being born in the water? Water represents matter. Our body is 6% water, 70% water. It's right there. It is in the teachings of Christ. But it goes against many of the previous dogmas, and also they choose to make one and gives them even more control of the masses. Because now have an even more strong hold upon you, because or you do the way I'm telling you, or you're gonna go to a very bad place, and you don't have a second chance. You don't have a second opportunity. So it's full of contradictions. But the more important, in my opinion, in my thing is completely goes against the attributes of a creator that we call God. They're supposed to be all love, all justice, all goodness. Even us humans loved 1 second opportunities. Why would not God? But even outside of the religious arena, there have been studies that indicates clearly the existence of reincarnation. Ian Stevens with 1,000 cases that suggest of reincarnation. Mrs. Bowman with many cases of obvious reincarnation. Young kids who are able to remember completely past lives, that there is no other way to understand how those kids are able to relate their previous existence, if not to the fact that they indeed relive other existence. But again, when you choose to reject the truth, you find ways to reject the truth, right? I mean, who a very educated person and who does scientific research in the medical field come and tells me that dinosaur is the greatest product of human imagination. And that's why they say that. It tells me because it's not in the Bible. Dinosaurs are not in the Bible. How can you argue with someone like that? What's your argument you have someone like that? It just plain chooses to go against truth, choose to go against reason, and there isn't much that we can do, that we can say. And reincarnation, it's so obvious. It's so obvious if someone spent time reading and researching it, that it's to not believe reincarnation is like not believe in the dinosaurs. It's not believe that the man can go to the moon. But unfortunately, there are those who will not believe. You deny the existence of dinosaurs, that a man has gone to the moon, and unfortunately, many will not accept the fact, the reality of reincarnation as a just plain natural phenomena, and indeed a natural law built in the law of progress. Okay, 167.
What is the purpose of reincarnation? Atonement and the progressive betterment of humankind. Without this, where would its justice lie?
Okay. So what for? No, what should we reincarnate? As I said, it is a law built in the law of progress. It is impossible to learn everything that I have to learn in one school year. It is impossible to learn all that I have to learn to become perfected spirit in one reincarnation. So the purpose of reincarnation, purely simply, is to allow us to progress with the necessary experiences with matter, in the matter or in the flesh. We can subdivide this to progress period and break down. In order to progress, one, you have to repair the mistakes. That goes the atonement. The atonement is the opportunity to repair, to fix what's broken. Because you can't move on with something broken. You need to fix it first. If you abuse your car, take driving from New York to Florida, comes to Virginia and it breaks down, you can still get to Florida, but you're gonna have to repair the car first. You're gonna have to fix what's broken first. That is the atonement. Because you abused the car, because you put the wrong gasoline, I don't know, because you put water instead of gasoline, or did something silly, you can still fix. So in order for us to go from simple and ignorant and reach the perfection that awaits us, we need the opportunity to repair mistakes that you have committed. And how do we do that? Through reincarnations. And I say reincarnations because perhaps just one may not be enough. That's the part of the atonement. And two, to progress. And the spirit put the development of humankind, not only of the individual. No one learns from oneself. If I have acquired something in, in terms of knowledge, is likely come from someone else. Very likely it comes from someone else. It's very hard for one to learn from oneself. And if I did learn from someone else, I have now acquired the responsibility to pass it along to someone who does not have it. And that is another part of reincarnation. And we will progress individually. I'm making my progress, you make yours. But we are codependent. I need you to teach me what you know. You need me to pass along to you what I have learned. What I have learned comes from others who pass it to me. So we are codependent. We depend upon one another. And through reincarnation, to come to the flesh, we have the opportunity of be in a melting pot where there is spirits more evolved than us. They will be our teachers. And there will be spirits less evolved than us, to whom we will be their teachers. Reincarnation allows us to be in this more heterogeneous, so to say, world when we deal with spirits from different levels. Because back in the spiritual world, we have a tendency to conglomerate with spirits pretty much at our own level, where we vibrate, and most of us will vibrate about the same level. Through reincarnation, we have the opportunity to come in and serve as a teacher, serve as a student, learn for those who know more, and at the same time teach those who knows less. And that what that generates, it is betterment of humankind. Although the progress is really individual, by I make my progress, I make the betterment of humankind. When I pass the little that I know to others, I am making myself better, and I make those others also better, and they will make others better, and those will make others better, and the whole human race can progress. We are codependent. And the way that we do that is in the physical world. Because again, back in the spiritual world, we have a tendency to conglomerate with those that are pretty much at our level, that vibrates pretty much like we vibrate. Okay. Question, comments? Okay, 168.
Is there a limited number of corporal lives, or does a spirit continue to reincarnate itself forever? With each new existence, a spirit takes a step forward on the path of progress. When it sheds all its impurities, the spirit no longer needs the trials of corporal life.
We can continue the next two.
Is the number of incarnations the same for all spirits? No. A person who advances quickly is spared many trials. However, these successive incarnations are always numerous because progress is almost infinite.
Okay, next.
What does the spirit become after its final incarnation? A perfectly happy spirit, a pure spirit.
Thanks. I think these three questions are very well connected to one another, and can comment all the three at the same time. If we're eternal, we have a beginning, a point of ignition when we start, but we do not have an end, which makes us eternal. Why would God put limitations, no chronological limitations in our existence if you are eternal, if you live forever? So the idea that there would be a limited number of corporeal lives that you have to use in order to purify yourself, it's rather irrational. Each one of us will mature at our own pace. Each one of us will put more or less effort in progressing. Those who put more effort will get there faster. Will limit the time that you need to come and words like the one that you live of trials and atonements, words where evil predominates over good. It's our choice. Those who apply themselves, they go faster. They will have a less number of reincarnations, and those who choose to be lazy and procrastinate, I'll do it tomorrow, don't live for the next reincarnation. Well, you keep on living for the next incarnation, but don't forget that I have to come here in this world that is more like a prison than anything else, because the limitations that the physical body imposes upon us. And of course, it could not be the same if we have the free will to choose the pathway that we take and the speed that you go through that pathway. It could not be the same, right? Some of us go faster or they go slower. Those who apply themselves who never miss a step will go rather fast, and those who choose to procrastinate and leave it for later, you have to do it later. It's going to take longer. And when a spirit completes that journey, that becomes a pure spirit, it becomes a Christ. That's when the spirit is able to enjoy perfect happiness or absolute happiness. And according to the spirits in this book, that absolute happiness or perfected happiness is the blessing to receive commands directly from God and execute it, which is something so abstracted, so out of reach of our comprehension that we cannot even start to grasp what that means. And we're so far to understand what would that be, this perfected happiness that we can just wait a few reincarnations when we will be able to enjoy it ourselves. Comments, questions? If not, let's continue on 7.1.
What is the basis of reincarnation? Reincarnation is based on God's justice and revelation. An affectionate father, as we have already explained, always grants his children the opportunity to redeem themselves, no matter how rebellious they may be. Reason alone dictates that it would be unfair to inflict eternal misery on those who have not had the opportunity to improve themselves. Aren't we all God's children? Injustice, merciless hatred, and unrelenting punishments are only found in the worlds of selfish people. All spirits strive for perfection, and God provides them this opportunity through the trials of corporal life. Divine justice compels them to use their new existence to do what they were not able to do or complete in a prior trial. It would not be consistent with God's justice or goodness to condemn to eternal suffering those who have encountered obstacles to their improvement, obstacles that may have resulted from circumstances beyond their control and thus are independent of their will. If the fate of humankind were conclusively determined after death, God would not have weighed the actions of all objectively and according to the same criteria. Reincarnation, which asserts that people have many successive lives is the only theory that satisfied the idea that a, of, we form of God's justice with regard to those who are placed in morally inferior conditions. It is the only one that can explain the future and give us hope because it offers us a way to make amends for our errors through new trials. This concept is indicated by reason and taught by the spirits. People who are aware of their own inferiority obtain reassuring hope from the concept of reincarnation. If they believe in God's justice, they cannot reasonably hope to be immediately placed on the same level as those who have made a better use of their life. However, the knowledge that they will not be barred from supreme happiness forever based on this inferiority, and the fact that they will be able to reach this happiness through new efforts resuscitates their courage and replenishes their energy. Who does not, at the end of their career, lament that an experience was acquired too late to be of actual use? This is not a loss, for they profit from it in a new corporal life.
Thanks. So right now, as we're speaking, a, a child is being born blind because the mother contracted syphilis, did not treat herself, and passed that disease for the child. Right now, as we speak, a child is being born without both arms. Gonna go up with a health body, a health mind, but without arms, without these wonderful things that we hand our hands with this ability to do so much things. Not too long ago, babies have been born. At the time they were born, they were already slave, just because of the color of their skin. Would never had the opportunity to experience freedom. Would born a slave, would die a slave. And right now, as we speak, someone is being born with absolutely perfect health in a household of wealth, where that child will never have one day of hunger in her or his life, will have the opportunity to go to any school that they choose to. And at the same time, perhaps in this not too far from that household, there will be a child that will never have the opportunity to learn to write, to read in this world that we live today. What is the justice? If you believe in a God that is the absolute justice, is all good, all generous, what is the justice? What have the child done to deserve to be born without arms, to be born without ever being able to experience color? Why are the other child so privileged to be able to be born in a household of wealth, and the other one have to endure the hardship of being born in a household of poverty. What is the justice? Do we believe in a God that is for justice? How can you reconcile those two? Isn't that extremely paradoxical also? God is all love, God is all justice, and yet ones are born in wealth, they're the ones that are born in poverty, ones are born healthy, they're the ones that are born already full of congenital defects. Without reincarnation, I do not believe in the justice of God. Without the concept of reincarnation, on the contrary, I think that God is pretty mean. God is, one day he's in he's happy and he's good humor, and so he makes everything well. The next day he is angry, he's upset, so he starts making things not so good for others. Because that's the only way to believe in God without the precept of reincarnation. There is no justice without reincarnation. I challenge anyone to go against me and bring and advocate right now that there is justice in divinity without the concept of reincarnation. What that child has done intrauterus, not even twins, because maybe if it was twins living together in the uterus, one perhaps drop the ball, but it's not even that. What have that baby done intrauterus in that 9 months that was so bad that it deserved to come back, to be born blind, to be born with congenital defects, to be born with a hole in the heart? What is the justice of God? And I challenge anyone to advocate that there is justice without reincarnation. Because maybe I'm wrong. Somebody smarter than I is gonna show to me that there is justice without the precept of reincarnation. I can see it. But understanding reincarnation, everything falls into place. Everything now makes sense. That each one of us are here for different lessons, some painful lessons, some not so painful lessons. Some of them are here for to deal with the lessons of how to manage wealth, carrying the responsibility of having power and distribute that power honest to others. Difficult trial. Others are here with the opportunity to atone and to repair, to learn. The malefices or the wrongdoing of violences, of slavery, of abuses, of neglect, and come with the opportunity to experience on their own flesh neglect, abuse, slavery, to get again a good understand of why the divine laws is of love, why the divine laws is of respecting one another. Tough lessons, difficult lessons, but with the certainty that whatever we're going through right now has a just cause, and more important, it has a purpose, it has a what for. And that the purpose, the what for, is exactly what I said in the very first question, to progress. to move on. There, here in reincarnation, we see the absolute justice of divinity. To give another one opportunity, not 2 or 3 strikes you out, but as many as needed, to remove all the stains that you have placed on yourself, to learn everything that you need to learn of the divine laws that we're going to see in this book soon, why they are important, why they are divine, and why we are better off if we follow those laws. And we have as many opportunities as needed to get to understand it and to live in accordance with those laws. So if you have to come here, if I have to come here to have one reincarnation of tremendous amount of suffering, it's one bad day at school. How many of us have, in our education days, school days, did not have a really bad day at school? But then you were at home, mom and daddy consoled you, get you ready the next day, went back to school a little stronger, a little better because of the difficult experience from the day before. One reincarnation is one day at school. And we may have a bad day at school, but not a bad day at school that was decided for us. No, it's a consequence, something that we decided for ourselves directly or indirectly. Because very often also what we are going through is things that pretty much that we ask for. Be born without arms. Oh, and went back to the spiritual world and saw and understood what a horrible person that I was, that I used my hands to kill hundreds and hundreds of people, to chop people's hand, to put people in the guillotine. And I repent so badly that I keep repeating for myself time and over again, I do not deserve to have hands. I do not deserve to have hands. I want to go back without hands. And I create for myself, I imprint for myself a physical body that comes in without hands. Now, naturally, obeying all the laws of biology and hereditarity, of course. But that difficulty, that horrible day at school, is exactly what will allow me to purify myself, to reach the purification that awaits of each one of us. Without reincarnation, it just doesn't make any sense, at least for me. To conciliate a God who is all love and justice, and see what we see in this world that we live today, the disparities, the difference between individuals, the difference between countries, why some are born in progressive countries and some people are born today in parts of the world that they will never see a flushing toilet. They'll never be able to drink a pure clean water because everything is contaminated. Why? Why people have to experience that life and all of this life without the precept, without the understanding of reincarnation, without understanding the multiple lives and the linear progress that we are as a eternal spirit moving towards the progress that perfection that awaits us. Question, comments? 10 more minutes. If not, let's continue.
172, incarnation on different worlds. Are all our different corporal existences lived on Earth? No, not all of them. There are many different worlds on which we may live our lives. This world is neither the first nor the last, but it is definitely one of the most material and furthest removed from perfection.
Thanks. So in our, making an analogy with our academic school days, do we all stays in one school from the beginning, from pre-K to college or to master's and PhD? Very often we do our education in one kind of school, then you go to middle school to be a different school, high school to be at another different school, and college you go to another state, and then you're gonna do a master's in a different state. We move on in accordance to our merit and necessity. Always put those two together, merit and necessity, right? So why would you expect that if there are so many houses in our father mansion that we are limited to one world through all our reincarnations? And if we understand that there are worlds that is meant for more ignorant spirits, there are other worlds that are for ignorant spirits like us in this world of trials and expiations in the spirit soul, tells us that one of the most material and farthest removed from perfection. And Joana de Anjos says that, and yet we are today much closer to God than to the animalia. That even with our ignorance, with all our need for matter, our materiality, we have closer to God than to the kingdom of the animalia, which saying a lot that although we are still so ignorant, we have moved quite a lot already. So there is different words that will accommodate us in accordance to our needs. And most of us do not have our first incarnation here. Most of us are migrants from different celestial bodies. Some of us will stay here, some of us will have to move to another world. And when you move to another world, let's say that it's inferior than the planet Earth, doesn't mean that we regress. It does mean that we now have the opportunity to bring progress to those in their world, and at the same time atone for the mistakes that are done over here. We do not regress, even if we have to spend some time in a world that is said to be less evolved than the one that we live right now. But in general, we will follow a pathway of progress pretty much in our, like in our academic education. Middle school in one building, and then we get to high school, go to another building, and then we go to college, go to a different building, and very often even out of the town or even out of the state. And then if you want to do a PhD, there's only PhD in somewhere else that you have to go outside of that state again. So we go where we merit and where we need to go in order to progress. There are many houses in our father's mansion. Okay, questions, comment? Okay, so let's continue.
173. Does the soul pass from one world to another for each new life, Or can multiple lives be in the same world? A soul may live in the same world many times if it is not ready to move on to a higher one. So we can live on earth several times, absolutely. Can we come back after living on other worlds? Of course. You may have already lived elsewhere and on earth.
Thanks. If the incarnation offers us the opportunity to repair mistakes, to atone for things that we missed, it's very likely that you're going to atone and repair those things in the same place where we commit those mistakes or commit those errors. So very often we will reincarnate in the same celestial body multiple times. And again, as many times as needed. It is in that same celestial body that we have the ones, all the spirits that we have to repair relationships, and it's the same world where we have the ones that we have affection toward and have affection towards us. So there is multiple reasons that justify we reincarnate multiple times in the same world. The same way that each reincarnation is a school day. I mean, you go home or you come back to the same school the next day until you graduate and it needs to go somewhere else. It's absolutely the same. And it's that same school that you have that kid that you don't like very much, and there's other kids that always fighting with you, but it's also there that you have the one that you have a crush on, and it's the same one that you have the ones that you like. And is there the opportunity to fix relationships, to increase the tie of affections, and all that is necessary for us to move on. When you're ready to move on, then we will move on. And then it can also come back also. Again, the fact that one of us moved on and deserves to go to a higher places of existence, and we still maintain your affection with loved ones that still need to be here, maybe giving the opportunity to come in and bring some help to the ones that stay behind. It does happen, and does happen often, that spirits will ask the opportunity to return and share, pass on what they have learned, assist a loved one. It's very possible and very likely that does happen many times. Okay, comments? Not, it's 7:28. I'm not going to continue the next question. Does anybody wants to make an additional comment to what you had seen here today? Anything that is disagreeable, anything that I missed?
I may have a question, Elmo.
Okay.
Okay. When did the church, when did the church get rid of the reincarnation practice or belief? Do we have a historical account of that?
I can give you dates, so to say, but was Constantino, I know Constantino who did it as the first pope, as still the last emperor that made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. Was during was during that period that he created this dogma that eliminated reincarnation. Um,
I see.
which was very well accepted up to them. And unfortunately, with the belief of resurrection, which means to return to the flesh, to the same body that decayed. Of course, we didn't have that understanding that we have in biology today. So there was a belief that the spirit would come back and come back to that same body. And that's what created many rituals um, with the burials. When some people died, they would put a bunch of belongs to that over there and all kinds of the rituals with the belief that there would be a resurrection, that the spirit would come back to that body. But of course, now you know that that's not the case.
Yeah.
That body will, this body will
Okay.
be broken down and will return to nature. Okay,
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Carol, you make a final prayer, please.
Sure. Infinite Creator, Supreme Intelligence, all goodness, all grace, we are grateful to be together this evening for our studies of the Spirit's book. We are studying Chapter 4, Multiple Lives, and our main topic is reincarnation. We have moral and intellectual challenges in each life. And of course, we've learned that one lifetime is not enough. Multiple existences in a physical body is essential, and we may need as many lives as it takes. We're here to improve, to correct our mistakes, and to repair the shortcomings that we have already done, not only to ourselves, but to others. Reincarnation is the way in which we can progress and to actually correct and repair our mistakes. We learn in relationship, in a society, in a community, and in a family, but we also learn individually. So we know that in this way, progress can be completely infinite. There are many worlds, not just this one which we are in. And we know that wherever we will be or wherever we may incarnate, it will accommodate us. There is no justice without reincarnation. And we have studied that there is cause and consequence. Therefore, this is really equal to the divine law of progress. We are grateful to be together, and we give thanks to the spiritual benefactors, the mentors, the good spirits, the helpers, the healers, the directors, all those who are participating as well. We are grateful to be on this journey together, to study together and reach a greater heightened awareness of what is involved in this life and involved in reincarnation. We ask to continue throughout the week with our prayers, with our mindfulness, and with our studies. And may we join together, link together in this knowledge, in this knowingness, sharing it with others. This is our way to be of assistance, to be of service, and a way to be of charity. We humbly ask to receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within our hearts and within our minds. And may we share as we are able to with others through our discernment. We humbly close now this meeting, and we ask to be guided, to be blessed, and to be heartfelt in our interactions with others, but to be also mindful of what we say and think. We close and remind ourselves to be beacons of light. Go forth now in peace, so be it.